Guys, welcome back to another episode of Before the Break. This week, we have an absolutely hilarious guest with us. She is a founding member of the improv group, the Katydids, and she served as one of the writers, executive producers, and series regulars of the TV Land series, Teachers. Please welcome the fabulous Kate Lambert.
Hi.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here,
you.
Kate. Oh my gosh, this is going to be such a treat. We're so excited to chat with you, and I'm so excited for our audience and our listeners to get to know you and learn so much from your path. Where the hell do we begin? You're from
I'm
where
Aries.
originally?
I'm an Aries.
You're an Aries.
Yeah.
And that means that you like having fun and you're a little adventurous. Oh, okay.
Wow, good. Yes, that's correct. I was born in Charlottesville, Virginia, and I moved to a suburb of Chicago the summer before 8th grade. So then I did like high school and stuff in Chicago, and then went, is this too in depth? And then
we're already way ahead. No, it's fine. Totally fine. So Chicago.
We'll edit it out. And then
we meant like start at the womb, but I guess we can jump to 8th grade.
Okay, wow. Sorry, guys. So then I went to Wake Forest and I majored in theater. And then I went back to Chicago, and it was only supposed to be there for the summer. I actually worked at the Steppenwolf Theater, and I was a tele-fundraiser. And my plans for New York fell through because I was supposed to go to New York. My dream was always to be one of the bodies in like the opening of Law and Order.
Right. You know? Yeah. We just found her here. She's frozen and naked, but
yeah. And
all these headshots where you look like a cadaver.
Yeah.
They're like, can you stop sending these to us?
What I really wanted was someone to like open a door, and I wanted to like fall out of it.
Oh, nice.
You know, but
some actors want to be like the leads, which is just weird. You just want to be the dead person.
I want to be the dead person in the beginning.
Wait, now hold on. There's so much well before. Okay, 8th grade, okay. You moved from Virginia to Chicago. That must have been hard socially. Was that killing you to start over in your social circle?
You know, I think I was excited about it, but it was hard because I had gone to the same school with the same people my entire life.
Right.
And I like knew people's parents and grandparents. And then all of a sudden to like be the new kid was really tough. And everyone told me I had a Southern accent, and I did not. I just did not have a Chicago accent, but now I do.
Right.
But I still did theater, and I did theater then. And that was really fun for me because I got to do like, you know, our musical that year. And I'm really grateful that I actually moved to Chicago because the first show I ever saw, my parents took me to, was The Second City. And
cool.
And so I saw the main stage, and we actually tried to figure it out. And I think I might have seen the show that Stephen Colbert was in.
Nice. What do you think? What year was that?
It was, what was it? 94, I think. I think 94. And I went to see Second City all the time throughout high school too. And it was something I always, even though I was in theater, I always admired it and like wanted to be up there, but never thought I would.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of people who eventually kind of went in your footsteps or your journey, we all remember our first Second City show. I remember mine was with Brian Gallivan. I think I was 18, and I was just overwhelmed by like what this is, and I wanted in so bad.
Yeah.
But I'll never forget it. And talking to improvisers and comedians, they remember their first Second City show and how it was, I want to do this. And I don't know how, and I don't know if that's even possible, but I want to do this.
It's funny because I don't remember that much about the show itself, but I remember where I was sitting and the feeling I had like watching it. And I used to go, like I said, a ton throughout high school and college. So it was something I always admired and was like, God, I would love to be up there.
Yeah.
And so comedy really brings people together in a different way than other art forms do. And it's so infectious. And I can imagine when that's kind of like one of your first live experiences and you're like, look at I want to do that. Like, how do you, it's such a shared experience.
Yeah, blew my mind in the best way. I remember I saw Stephanie Weir do her Yellow Ball, which is a really famous Second City scene. And I remember seeing that in person and being like, this woman is unbelievable. I was like obsessed with her. I thought she was just incredible. And she is.
She really, really is.
Yeah.
So you were in high school, you were doing the plays and all that stuff. You know, you're heading to Wake Forest. You are majoring in acting, right?
I was originally going to Wake Forest and I thought I was going to be a news anchor.
It was either comedian or news anchor. What about that made you, what possibly, what could you
about
possibly,
that just makes me laugh. Like,
Come on, guys.
If there was this one girl on TV who was fucking hilarious, but she was a news anchor and everyone's just like losing her shit. And you're like, back to you, Joe. And
I'm like, guys, this is serious news. It's serious. Well, I kind of got a little, I think, discouraged. And I was like, I don't think I'm good enough for this. And my high school, I went to this incredible high school. It had like 3,000 kids. And we had 3 theaters at our high school. Like a black box theater, a little theater, and then, you know, the main auditorium.
My town didn't have 3 theaters. It had one, like the
or 3,000 people.
It was insane. It was one of those things, like if you drop something during a passing period, it was like, just keep moving, go, go, go. Like, just stop.
You're gonna learn real fast, kid.
Yeah, people would get lost all the time. Like they would actually hire, well, I mean, for free, but all like kids on like parent night would have to help the parents because.
Did you say parrot night?
Parent.
Oh.
Parent.
I was like, what kind of high school?
Also parent night. No, on parent night, we would have to like be in the hallways to like try to help parents because this school was so big, everyone would get lost. But anyway, we had a television station at our high school. I know. And
that's awesome. I that same thing happened to me. I had a high school that I went to in the mornings and they had a TV station, the radio station. I mean, that was like, I'm sure that was huge for you.
Oh, it was incredible. And it was a public high school and it had this TV station that aired a news show written and produced by the students on public access. So It was available to the 2 suburbs that the school, like it was Oak Park and River Forest. And so I was an associate producer on the TV show and I was also a writer and an anchor. So it was like the best.
I would love to see some of that footage.
Have it. And I just had it digitized like a few years ago, like on
that should just be your reel.
You know what? Honestly, I thought about it.
Wait, this is it's for your biography. It's for, you know, your behind the music doc or whatever they're going to do on you when you die. You're going to have all this footage ready to go. The editor's are going to love you.
Because it's from the 90s. My eyebrows are like this big. Like this big and this thin. And yeah, you know, just reporting the hottest news that Oak Park High School had to offer.
Oh my God. I love it.
So that's what I thought I was going to do. And then my school actually, Wake, hosted the presidential debates when I was a sophomore. Nice. And I got to interview like George Stephanopoulos and Colin Powell. And it was really, really cool. And then I just decided, I did a couple shows at Wake and I decided that that's really what I wanted to do. So I switched my major.
To acting?
Yeah.
To theater.
Yeah, right. It was a liberal arts school. And so they didn't have like super focused majors like, you know, like acting or directing or whatever. It was just theater. So I had, you know, I took costume design, set design classes, voice and movement. I directed a 1-act, you know, that kind of thing.
And were you pretty active in that like little community of actors? Were you guys putting on shows and shooting stuff? What were you guys doing?
Oh no, I was too old to shoot things. This was like Facebook was like invented when I was a senior. So we didn't have like, we weren't really good at like doing the video and putting it online just because it wasn't really a thing.
Right.
But I lived at the Fine Arts House, and I was, I basically lived and breathed theater.
Okay. And what was going on in your head as graduation was coming? Did you know where you wanted to go? What was the path?
I was like, I'm gonna go to New York, and I'm gonna do theater, and I'm gonna be in movies, and then that never happened.
And now she's just at her parents' house.
Right. Now I'm just,
How did that not come together?
So I wound up, so the plans for New York fell through. It was just so expensive. And I was, looking at places that I would have to like divide the living room and share it as a bedroom. And it was just way too expensive for me. And so I wound up staying in Chicago, and it was the best thing for me. I worked at Marshall Fields.
Mm.
And it was 100% commission.
Oh.
So it was, if someone bought something and then returned it, they would take the money from you. So I would cry in the stock room a lot. And the thing is that I took this job so I could audition, but then I was too scared to audition because, I was, like at my theater, like our school was small. So I was like a bigger fish in a smaller pond. And then I was like, I'm not good enough for this. And I didn't want to be told I wasn't good enough. And because I think that would have like broken me. And so instead, I didn't put myself in a place where I could be told I wasn't good enough. So I just didn't audition.
And this is what year when you kind of got to Chicago?
So I worked for a year and lived at my parents' house, and then I moved in like 2004.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so I worked at Macy's until 2007. And I worked at Macy's for 2 years, and I worked with this incredible group of women, and they were so encouraging of me. And when I finally decided to take a class at Second City, they were always like, you were meant to do this. Like, you're supposed to be doing this. And so I got cast in my first show and was taking classes in 2006. And then I kind of looked back.
Okay. And then the show, was that like a skybox show? Was it?
Yes, but you would have thought I had won an Oscar. I was so excited. I was like, oh my God. So yes.
My Chicago debut.
Yes, exactly. I was like, I'm a star. So
Yep. Yeah. Okay. And so you got in that show. That was a little bit of validation. You started taking those classes, and then the community, I mean, right when you start taking an improv class, you've got 25 friends already, like built in, that you're going to know forever, and that was the greatest thing about Chicago, getting there in your 20s with no money, no path, no idea what to do. Your first class, you automatically had a huge group of friends that you were going, like out to dinner with after class and all that stuff. Yeah. So things started to kind of feel like you were validated, and that it was kind of going in some sort of direction. Were you feeling that?
Yeah, I definitely did. I had classes with a great group of people, and it did feel like a community. And then I also took classes at IO, and, I met more people, and I was doing so many shows a week. And I mean, you're working for free. You're doing all these shows for free, but you're working like a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And then, we finally sort of did some groups on the side. I was in a group called Cell Camp, which was a great sketch group that I was involved in. And we did a lot of like filming videos and things like that too, in addition to sketch shows. And then the Katydids happened too. And then we put a lot of focus on that as well. Like started out as improv, but then we sort of moved to video and some sketch show.
And how did the Katydids all come together? Were you guys all in classes together and you kind of realized about the names, or you were all friends before?
No, actually. I had taken a class for a tiny period of time, I think with Katie O'Brien and Caitlin Barlow. And Katie O'Brien and I knew each other. And I knew Katie Colleton. But Caitlin, I know.
It's as though someone was recruiting you guys.
It's insane how many parents named their daughter Kate or Katie in the 80s that probably thought like, this is original. Like it's not that popular of a name. And then it's like, everybody. But
before you hopped on, we were saying like, if it was like, you're the funniest girl in the world. My name's Ellen. I'm so sorry. You have to fuck off.
Yeah, you're not a Katie. I'm sorry.
It's a variation of Catherine or nothing. Adios.
No can do. Either your name means pure or it doesn't. So the Katydids, Caitlin actually came up with the group name, and there was a show at IO called Radical Concept, and Caitlin tells the story so much better, but basically she had a vision that, and this, like, she had this phrase that kept getting repeated to her over and over again, which was, there's something about a girl named Kate. So she gathered all these Kates that she knew, or like, and other people, like I think Katie Colleton recommended me. And so she emailed and was like, do you want to do this Radical Concept show? So everyone said yes. And then we were rejected because turns out it's not that radical. And so we wound up, I think Claymore, which is a great improv group.
Brian Hurwitz, who is that? Right, Brian Hurwitz or something?
They did, like, they had a run at Playground, and they invited us to like do a show, and some of us hadn't even met each other. Like, we shook hands before we walked on stage that night. And then the show was great, and it was really fun, and we all just felt super, super comfortable with each other. And I think we sort of felt like there was something there, and then the shows just sort of snowballed, and we kept doing more, and then we finally got a run. And I had been
at Playground or at IO.
We did, it's so long ago. We did it actually at Studio B. I think that was the first run. Right. And then we got runs at IO. And that's when we felt like it was a midnight run, which now, like, the thought of makes me so tired.
Right.
Oh my God. Like, how did I do that? But at the time we were truly like, we were gonna like burst, like we were confetti. We were so excited.
Yeah.
And I had done a bunch of videos with Cell Camp, and so I recommended to the group, I was like, I really think that we should start doing videos, because I think that, we can do the posters and everything, but for people who maybe don't know us or our names or know what kind of comedy we do, it could be a great way to promote the show and sort of promote the brand of comedy we do. And, even if they don't know us, if they see the video and they like the video, maybe they'll come to the show. Right. So it kind of grew from there.
Yeah. And I think we're approaching 08, 09, and 10 when I moved to Chicago, and when you're starting out in improv, whatever market you're in, all you do is go to class and go to shows and try to perform at shows. At least that's in our generation, like 10 years, 15 years ago, that's kind of how it was. And so for me, I was just going from venue to venue to venue and just catching as many shows as possible. And so you were about 5-6 years ahead of our generation of performers who were getting out of the training center. But what some people don't know is, if you're at IO or any other theater, it's a small packed theater. Everybody's just like packed like sardines, and there's this show going on, and it's always great because IO has this wonderful way of getting the most incredible performers. And seeing you and seeing the Katydids up there just having so much fun, and everybody's face just hurting from just smiling the whole time. And I mean, my God, there were some just wonderful shows that I saw. But what I did notice was this chemistry between you all, where it was just effortless. And you could feel the energy, and you were part of the show while you were there watching it. And it must have been just really great to know that you pursued something that was just like free. How many hours are you dedicated? And here you are having the time of your life, and you feel like this rock star because you're on this wonderful stage where scouts are there and friends are watching and your teachers are there. And you're part of something incredible, because there is nothing like being in a great show of improv and having this group mind and having those sort of like, what the hell just happened? We'll never be able to recreate that,
And you can't tell anyone about it afterwards. It's like,
no.
be there.
You had to be there. And so I was, what I was watching was this generation ahead of me, and how much fun they were having and what I could look forward to. And I think that was one of the special things about students, is you get to watch those free classes and see what you could do in the next couple of years if you really just like poured it on and didn't ask, why am I doing this? You know? So you were riding this wonderful wave, and you were collaborating with a lot of people. So as things started to progress, and the Katydids and their videos started playing, and crowd sizes became, larger. What was happening with you, and kind of the path and what you wanted to do, and were things changing for you, and in terms of what you really wanted and how you were going to go about it?
Yeah, I think so. It was funny when I originally started doing improv. First of all, I loved writing as a kid. I thought for a long time as a kid, I thought I was going to be like an author. And then when I got into theater, and even in the beginning with improv, I was like, I'm an actor, I'm not a writer. And it started to come to the point when around that time, because I think the Katydids started in like 08 or 09. And then I got hired to do a cruise ship for the Second City in like the end of 2010. So by 2011, I was on a cruise ship. And so it was sort of in those years that I realized, and with Cell Camp too, like, oh, like I need to write for myself, and I am a writer. And I think also I wasn't, at the time, I really wanted to get hired by Second City pre getting hired. And I was like desperate. And then I thought to myself, I'm trying to think who it is. I think it might be a Steve Martin quote, that it's basically like, you have to do things so they can't ignore you.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to put myself out there and being like, okay, well, if you won't hire me, then I'm going to show you why you should hire me. And I'm going to get, I'm going to get views and things on my own, and put things out there and show you what kind of parts I can play, since I'm not getting those parts.
Good for you. So, good for you.
Yeah. And wow. I think that was something. So I did some videos on my own too, and I did them with the groups. And so that's sort of, I think, was a huge turning point for me.
That's great initiative to take too, where it's like, I'm not falling into certain things, so let me show you what those things are, if you can't see it yourself, and to take that initiative to do that.
Yeah, because there are so many talented people in Chicago. I mean, Tommy, from just going to the theater all the time, like but there's only one you. And the thing is that you need to show people what you're capable of and what you want. And so that was one of the reasons too why we put such a focus with the Katydids on like logo and branding and taking photos and making sure that we had the most professional look out there, because
marketing.
We treated it like a business because we wanted to get paid.
Yeah, because you have to think of yourself, if we're this group, we are this product that we want to go do. So you have to market accordingly and be a group and a brand.
Yeah. And so I tried to treat myself as like that too. I was like, I'm like a walking business. So I'm going to put 110% into whatever I do. And, hopefully I'll get a check at some point.
Right. Well, it was kind of your form of not taking no for an answer.
Yes.
I mean, their no, quote unquote, was not a call. Their no was, you're not coming into this ship audition. That was their no. But you said, I'm going to create a portfolio so that you can see what I can do, because I'm not giving this chance. That's amazing. And
I had the first time I ever auditioned for the Second City, I got called back, which was incredible and so exciting. And then I blew the call back. I got too into my head, and I was like terrified because I was auditioning with people who were like teachers at IO in the Second City. And I was like, what am I doing here? I mean, I'd only done improv for 2 years at that point. And so I think it was also sort of to say to myself, like, No, you belong there. Show them why you belong there.
Great
Yeah.
job. Great job. I mean, I think most of the time people are like, oh, I don't belong here. Okay, yeah, because I thought that too. So I just needed you to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, we really do. It's amazing. And you mentioned your unique self with your unique experiences. So you have a voice, and I remember when I was like 22 or 24, I just graduated conservatory, and who was head of the talent acquisition? It wasn't Anne. It was
Beth Kligerman?
maybe it was Beth, but it could be Anne. Anyway, she said, you know, you're young, you don't have your voice yet. You need to find your voice, find your unique self, and that belief in your unique self, saying, I don't care if it's a teacher or a student in the scene. I belong here and I can add something. And improv does an amazing thing with confidence, with your self-esteem, not like confidence like ego, but self-esteem, like I'm worth everything, and I'm worth happiness will come to me, and I deserve to be happy, and I'm good here, you know. But it takes a long time, and I think the most impressive thing is going through improv while striking out every day. And I mean, some people just quit at the early onset of that first couple strikes, but others who are willing to say, oh no, it doesn't matter how many times I strike, I'm not going to strike out, I just keep striking, and eventually I'm going to hit.
Yeah.
And this was your chance to do that.
Yeah, and I think, you know, it's one of those things. It's like when I get no's, it's not like I'm not impenetrable. I mean, it hurts and it sucks, and it's like it's so disappointing, but you know, you have to just keep going even when it sucks.
Yeah. Well, and to understand that it's not permanent. The suckiness is part of the entire path. And, you know, as we're switching gears here to
Exactly.
as we switch gears into things working for you, that branding paid off. Katydids did a series of videos that was so funny that led to more shows, and then a little series called Teachers that was produced by you guys, directed by
Matt Miller
from Cleveland. And if you guys shot a pilot, right?
Yes.
Was it just one episode?
We just shot a pilot, but what happened was Matt came to us because we had wanted to work with him on a different pilot, and that wound up not being a right fit. And then he came to us and was like, I think we should do a web series about teachers. You guys look like teachers. And we were like, oh, thank you. And so I wore a lot.
What a great genesis for a show. We just looked like teachers. So
I wore a lot of cardigans. So I had it, the popular teacher uniform. So we wound up writing, and Matt was the director, and we had Cap Gun Productions. And so we did 24 webisodes, and then we started releasing those, and then those took off. And then we got an agent at William Morris to represent it, to try to package it. And Allison Brie came on as the producer. And then before we were ever able to go out and sell it, TV Land saw it and they offered to buy it. And so we were just like blown away, because I always thought that we would get like recast and it would be like us, but like the supermodel version.
Right, like LA
we're gonna
teachers.
keep you guys on as producers and writers, but it's gonna be Cameron Diaz and
right.
And I'd be at home, be like, "Good for you guys," you know. And so, but it wound up. They wanted all of us in our parts, and they wanted our voice, and they gave us so much creative control. And so I moved out to LA, and we wrote and you know, I didn't know if it was going to go to series, but I sort of felt like it was time for me to go anyway. Yeah. And we wrote the pilot, and then we filmed it, and then we found out it was going to series, and you know, we lost our minds.
And what kind of time period did this quick transition happen?
God, I think we released the web series, I feel like in November of like 2013, maybe. It could have even been before that. And then it kind of went viral. And then, God, is that as quick as it was? And then in March,
It was. I think it was because
Was it?
Greetings was, I watched you guys and I was like, oh, that's genius. Have a show where you can make 24 episodes that's all set in one place so there's no company moves. And that's why Greetings was invented. It was because of
Oh,
teachers.
oh, I
And
didn't know
Greetings from
that.
Prison went, yeah, it did great. And but the hardest part about shooting a series is like the company moves and the locations. And so where
Yeah.
could we set this thing? Oh, at a school. Oh, at a prison, right? So like that just opened up the door for so many possibilities of like other people creating content. But so you guys did, you know, going back a bit, you guys had this really great strategy of like knocking this thing out in one location. You already had the connection with Matt. I'm sure you hustled in terms of getting it repped by that person at William Morris and Allison. It was all about like that hustling and sending emails and all that stuff. Did TV Land pick this up because they just saw it or because they were sent the package from someone?
So I don't know the exact like how it exchanged hands exactly, but basically the story we tell, and we don't know if it's true or not, is that
That doesn't matter. That
who
doesn't
cares? It's
matter.
Hollywood. Is that TV Land called William Morris, and our agent was Alec Botnick, who's fantastic, and they asked for a show where a workplace comedy where the writers were also the performers, and so they were like, well, we have something for you.
Well,
And so
So
yeah.
kind of just right time, right place, your guys' agent, they reached out to your agent and he was like, I actually have that exact thing that you're looking for. And then boom.
And Brad Gardner, who was our champion at TV Land, he just really like got the show, and he was the one who I think first saw it and was like, we have to buy this show. He just got the sort of warped sense of humor and where the show could go, and so.
And you don't really have a lot of performers who are also writers and who are also women, and also like it was just the perfect combination of something to get behind that was right for the time.
And it was great too because Caitlin was a teacher, and so she taught fourth grade, and all of us, I feel like it's so funny. Elementary school is such a short period of time, but I feel like when you think back on your life, it does feel like almost like 800 years. You're like, it felt so long because you're learning so much. And so I think everyone has such a nostalgic place for, the teachers and the holidays and the parades.
Totally.
And so we thought that we could take that universal experience and twist it and sort of show you, wow, like you thought your teacher had it all figured out. She was a 24-year-old. Like, what?
Right. But when you're that young, it's almost like during the day, they take the place of your parents because they're the other adults that shepherd you when you're not with your parents, but you don't know, the 25-year-old teacher has a drinking problem or whatever. Like they have this whole other life outside of school that you're oblivious to, but when you're there, it's like, oh, it's Mrs. So-and-so.
And again, you're thinking about a brand. You're all business minded. You're saying what is out there that needs to be improved? What hasn't been created yet? Oh, a workplace drama with women teachers, which we've never seen teachers in their natural habitat when the kids are off at recess. Like that whole idea as a brand, as like a product, it's exciting because we've never seen that before. So that's why it was nabbed so quickly, because it was an original thing. And I wonder, because everything was so like seamless and how everything just kind of happened, that going back to that, to who was it who had that oral vision of
Caitlin,
there's something about Katie, and I think, and I've had this too, where you have a vision and then you carry it out and then boom, it like explodes. You're like, this was supposed to happen all along. And thank God I listened to that voice. Do you think that was like a legitimate thing from the universe that was being sent down?
I think, it's like when you think about it, it's kind of like, if you go through this door, your life could be totally different. And I think that all of us sort of venturing on this journey together as an improv group kind of led to the next thing. But, I think also it was a lot of work, and that we were always thinking about what the next step is, like to the point where it was like, okay, so we've got this, okay, well, we need a website, and we need, a logo, and we need professional photos, and we need a Facebook group. And so we were always pushing to get to that next level. And I think that is what, really took us. And then when Matt approached us with teachers, it changed everything, because we got to go from short sketches to showing that we could create a world with characters that you could follow, and that everyone created their own character. And so it kind of blew out from there. But then when we got the TV show, we heightened the characters even more, so that everyone was very different, and that you could kind of, like with improv, how like when you figure out a character has arachnophobia, like you better believe in a scene later there's going to be spiders. And so we tried to do that with the characters, like someone hates something and they have very strong opinions, etc.
Interesting. And it's the same, whether it's a comedy troupe or in acting, it makes all the difference. Like when you go into a room, or whether you exist on stage as a group or whether you're in the audition room, to have that business marketing mindset where you exist outside of that, and you have all your ducks in a row of the website, this page, the professional shots, the reel, so that you look like a good package for someone to pick up, whether that means getting into a casting office or getting representation or whatever. But it's a mindset that you absolutely have to move forward.
Right. No, absolutely.
So teachers went on to go for 3 seasons, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah. And you guys were asked to, well, you wrote, how quickly were you asked to produce and wear other hats?
That was all in the beginning. So
it started from the top. Oh, wow.
Always from the top. So
right.
we sold the show in March, and then we wrote the pilot, and then we filmed the pilot, I think in like July, and then we found out it was going to series in October. So,
and the prior November is when you guys started releasing your web series?
I think so. Although it could have been a year. I'm gonna trust Tommy on this one.
Well, either way, it was faster than anybody.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It could have been a year. Honestly, I think it might have been a year, because it did feel like by the time we had sold it, it had been living for so long. So I do think it might have been 2012, and then it went for that long. Because we also, it went to the Onion as well, got put on the Onion and got put on Funny or Die. So time-wise, I think it might have been a year. But wow. Yeah, so they had us come on right away as executive producers, writers, and actors.
All the trust. I mean, that, I don't know if that's not, I mean, obviously that's not typical. What about you guys? What happened there to allow this to happen instantaneously without even having a series under your belt, and then the EP say, all right, come on and
well, I think that they really felt like the show was our voice.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to do anything to disrupt that. In fact, they would say things sometimes like, we can tell you're holding back, don't hold back. And we were like, yeah, they're right. We are holding back a little bit. And we also had fantastic showrunners. Jay Martell and Ian Roberts came on from Key and Peele. And so, it was so great to work with someone, with 2 guys like that, whose backgrounds are, sketch comedy as well, and improv. So I think we all just kind of got each other. And
this sounds like a lot of trust.
Yeah.
That they said, you guys know exactly what you're doing. We are full force behind it. And if it ain't broke, let's not fix it. You guys just keep doing your thing, and we're just going to make it bigger, better, and give it a whole other platform. But we trust you guys.
Yeah. And they also, I think, knew we had never written television before. So the notes we got, and we had heard horror stories, about people with notes from networks, etc. Sorry, my parents are getting a phone
Let me
call.
get that. Yeah.
Hold on just 1 minute, guys.
Your mom's going to be like, honey, Kate, it's for you.
I know. Well, I could get it, see what happens. And so
it's the network.
Yeah.
It's my
they want
agent.
a fourth season.
Yeah. And they want everyone to know that. But anyway, yeah, no, I think that they gave these absolutely fantastic notes that always made the show better. And I know that sounds so Pollyanna, but like, honestly, it's so true. Like every time they give a note, it'd be like, oh yeah. And then other times it was like, even if you disagreed with it afterwards, you'd be like, oh no, that note was really good.
Did that make you a better writer now? Because you were essentially, you had this amazing 3-year workshop, getting a master's in show running because you're watching all these people who are really good at their job telling you what maybe you should think about. And so you're rewiring now. And do you find yourself now thinking a little bit like a showrunner or like an executive producer in the terms of the storyline and what elements should be switched or enhanced or added? Or
yeah, and writing is still, hard. I think, all writers, like the key is sort of the structure and the great dialogue. And so I think it does help in the sense, especially when you've worked with such talented people like we did at the network, that you really show your voice, which I think is key. And with pitching, I think the big thing is, why are you the person to create this show? And then once you get there, when you do get the opportunity, like you said, like, what are you going to do with it? And how have these notes that you've gotten, affected your writing so that you know what to put into a script?
Yeah.
What an incredibly wonderful and rare introduction into this big world of television, where you're not only like right off the gate the series regular, but you're also the EP and one of the writers from the get-go. Because a lot of times, if it's something that is a vehicle for a big actor and they're not writing or producing it, season 2 or 3, they'll be like, okay, I want my name now, as like an EP or something.
Right.
But just from the get-go to be wearing so many hats is so rare, and what an incredible opportunity for all of you guys, to dive into television.
Well, we were kind of pinching ourselves, because we had done so much on our own. Like, when we were doing the videos pre like Cap Gun and Teachers, we were the ones holding a boom mic and I was the one who was covering my eyebrows up with like latex and stuff. And, and so we'd done our own makeup. We had done our own hair. Like we had secured all the props. So then all of a sudden we get to this set and we're like, there's a door on this classroom. Like we could not get over like, oh my God. When I went to my trailer, I was like Annie when she gets to Daddy Warbucks' house. I was like, this is for me. Like it just blew my mind.
We have someone to do the slate.
Like it here.
Thank you. That's one of my
Kate,
favorites.
we have someone who can do the slate. No, it's fine. I can do it. I've been doing it for years.
I'll push the car. I'll push it.
So it's like the many hats that you have to wear. It can't just be that you're an actor. You've got to have like a million other things that you can do, because you can't just like, if you were just actors, you wouldn't have done your own makeup. You wouldn't have been able to get the props. You wouldn't have been able to pitch this thing to Matt, or, it is, I think when you're studying or gunning for, the acting business, you have to understand that it's not just acting. You really do need to know like everything so that you can enhance your chances as much as possible. And more cookie jars means more cookies for you to hopefully grab. So I see this theme that's constantly in your path of like getting up, getting out and doing it. Like no questions asked. I don't care if we don't have the person that we need to have, we're going to do it ourselves. Where would you be if you didn't have that? And also I think the other thing is you guys were trained so well. I mean, you didn't come to Chicago like knowing how to do everything. Like IO really does. And everybody, IO Second City, it's all under the same umbrella of, I don't know how, but instituting the ability to have a sophisticated and unique idea.
Yeah.
And if you practice enough and you watch enough people, your brain will be rewired to know kind of the most effective way to present, fill in the blank, a scene, the relationship, a storyline, a whatever. If you didn't have this training, you guys probably wouldn't have been as good of a writer. Do you think?
Yeah, I think that the training was absolutely fantastic. And I also think like one of the key things is to find people that, you know, you really get along with both professionally and personally, and that you have a similar sensibility to, and just sort of like, you know, link arms, because I love I love working with people, you know, on creative things. And I always think that collaboration makes something better. And so I was so lucky to, you know, find people that are good friends of mine, but also, you know, that I could create something with that I was really proud of.
And we've talked a lot about like kind of the elements that really did work for you, but I mean, your story, you couldn't even write it. Just how everything happened, you know, you can't really explain just the trajectory and how everything went. But you know, there are people who are you in 1994 watching Stephen Colbert, watching you on TV or on stage. So for those people who were you 20 some years ago, like what would be something that you really, really want to convey to them as they weigh their options or head into this pursuit? What were the things that worked for you that you want to kind of divulge?
I would say, you know, the thing is that it really is a winner takes all business, in the sense that like there's only sometimes one slot or one part. And I learned this when I was directing my show in college. Like there were some people who were so good, but I couldn't cast them. And so sometimes it's a matter of just doing a really good job, because people will remember you later. I also think that I always tried to treat the free jobs like I was getting paid.
Big time. I'm so glad you said that. We have not mentioned that on this show, but I think a lot of people who are doing small, independent, $150 whatever, they tend to treat it as $150 a day indie film.
Right.
Whereas if you treated it like it was an $850 a day or a $5,500 week type gig, or a $8,000 guest star role for this little $50 like webisode thing that I'm doing, you'd be acting much better, I would say, you know, because you're more willing to spend time on the material. You are gunning for anybody on set who you might work with later. Like you are just kind of like rocketed to this higher level of like awareness. And, you know, not a lot of people treat their everyday like gigs that's just another credit as they just treat it as just another credit. And what they don't know is that there are people on set or wherever you are who are doing something in a month or in 10 years, and you're in their Rolodex, you're up here, and it's up to you how you want to go about, navigating this $50 little tiny funny comedy bit that you're doing.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that's, to me, that was something I always tried to do, because, you know, this, even though it wasn't like making me any money, it was my dream job and what I wanted to do. So I took everything really seriously. I think being 100% prepared all the time is something that is so key. I understudied for Second City, and, you know, it's sometimes you only get like 2-day warning for, you know, a full main stage show. And it's like, you want to go and you want to, you know, do an incredible job so that you can, you know, keep going and keep moving up the ranks. And so I think that would be my biggest thing. I'd also just say, you know, that you should just, even though it sounds a little bit like something stitched in a pillow, but like believe in yourself and know that you have a voice and something to offer, and that your experiences are unique, and you should write about what you know, because nobody can write about your experience better than you can, and the things that you've been through. And then I think my last thing would be to never show up late with a to-go cup.
I haven't heard that last part, and that's fantastic.
Yeah, because everyone knows that you still went and got coffee.
You're
And
so right.
it is
Late, huh?
It's such a thing because it's like, okay, so you went and got a coffee?
But you did have time to stand in line.
Yeah.
I love
Waiting
that.
for coffee.
It's
So true, though.
I think it's one of those things, like, even if someone doesn't realize they've noticed, it's like your brain immediately absorbs it. It's like, huh.
And then you won't be able to stop thinking about it. Like, oh God, I must look like the biggest asshole.
Just don't
It's
do
so
it.
true. I think that's what we'll take away from this episode, really.
You know, throw your to-go cup away before you walk in the rehearsal.
Right.
Or bring like the metal container version
Yeah.
and pour your coffee in it. They'll
That's
never
right.
know. Yeah.
That's right.
Kate, do you have anything in the pipeline or anything coming up?
I am actually hosting a game show online called Very Punny, and it's on Rush Ticks, and it's once a month. And once a month, I get to have 3 contestants, and we get to figure out who is the best punster of the month. So it's really fun.
My God, we're gonna plug that.
Yeah, it's a lot of like dad jokes, which is me. I live for dad jokes. So
did you learn this from your dad?
No, I think my dad has a better sense of humor than me. Like, my dad doesn't really do puns and stuff, but I don't know. I think I got it from my grandpa. My grandpa and I loved it, and he had the best sense of humor. So I guess my dad got it from him. They both had better sense of humor than me, but I got it from my grandpa. I think he and I used to go back and forth.
I heard such a bad dad joke today. It was like, are you allowed to laugh loudly in Hawaii or just a low ha?
See, and for me, I would be like, this guy's the winner. Call the game off. We're done here. Yeah.
And has that started yet, or is that coming up?
Yeah, we had our first show last month, and we have
Awesome.
It's the 4th. It's the 4th Monday of every month. So
okay,
let's see, I'll find it for you guys. But yeah, I'm really excited.
4th Monday of every month.
Yes, I think so.
1, 2 on the 28th is your next.
Yeah.
Yeah, 28th of this month of June, 28th. Okay. All right. Well, good. Well, we will definitely check that out. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
And Kate, where can people find you online?
Oh my gosh, where can't you find me? I have a website, KateLambert.com, and I've got an Instagram, and it's the most annoying name, but it's Kate Lambert, including the it's, and that's also me on Twitter.
And George.
And George. Well, George has his own Instagram, you know.
Oh, he does? Am I following him yet?
I don't know. George Banks the dog. Yeah, please plug it. He's a big star. Adam, you don't know George, but I
want to.
You do, and the thing is that he is like my meal ticket. I just know I'm gonna be like a dog stage mom because this dog is a star.
Love it.
You're gonna send him to Second City and IO just like his mom.
Yeah, actually, he has been on the main stage at Second City, and I took a photo of him there. So
he's like, I'm a legacy.
He's already, he's very entitled.
Oh my gosh, Kate, thank you so much for joining us today.
God.
This was fantastic.
Well, you know what? You guys are just delightful, and thank you so much for having me. You were a nice excuse to put makeup on and blow dry my hair. So thank you.
Love it.
And
I'll have that the rest of the day.
Yeah, that's right. And now I get to live like this. So thanks.
What a treat, Kate. Thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Bye.
Bye.
Mwah. Bye.